Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. Yeah. Let's have a conversation. Oh, yeah. Look. Yeah. Hey. Let's have a conversation. Woo. Pick up some gems, life is all you make. Go. We keep it real, we don't talk to fake. Tell them how this talk show on the net coming for all the mates. Let's have a conversation. Woo. Pick up some gems, life is all you make. Go. We keep it real, we don't talk to fake. Tell them how this talk show on the net coming for all the mates. Let's have a conversation. Yeah. Let's have a conversation. Oh, yeah.
Hello, everyone. This is Michelle Biggs, CEO of My Best Everyday Coaching and Consulting, and the host of Real Conversations with Michelle. And I welcome you to this broadcast. Tonight, we will be talking about preparing our youth for tomorrow. And for those of you who are new to my platform, I am a Master Certified Life Coach. I'm also an Associate Certified Coach through the International Coaching Federation and about to be retired Senior Human Resources Executive. So I'm excited. I started this platform as an extension of my coaching business, really to just connect people, as well as I just love helping people. And what this platform does is we talk about the variety of life topics with the goal that something that is shared, you'll be able to apply in a positive way for yourself or for someone who you are supporting. And tonight's topic is definitely one of those topics that I got a lot of great feedback on. A lot of people are interested in this topic. It came about a couple of months ago, actually during the summer. I had heard from a couple of friends who were talking about bringing their kids back to school, and they were looking for things for their children to do. And what I recognize is a lot of people don't recognize the resources that are available to them. Coupled with the fact that just like the adults, getting back into the school environment has been hard, right? And I know we've experienced that at work as well. So that transition back into work has been a challenge for some. And how do you tap into the things that are around you to support your youth? For those of you who are parents, and I have with me today um, people who are engaged in the educational system, and they are mentoring our youth in a variety of different ways. And I wanted to bring them forward to talk about a variety of topics for middle school and high school age kids, geared towards middle school and high school age kids. But parents, I know some of you just need this relief. And I think just having and knowing what's available to you. And some of this stuff is free, y'all. And I don't even know if many of you even recognize it. A lot of these resources are free, and that will only cost you your time to get people to get your children to a facility, to get engaged. But I have with me, as I said, a group of individuals who are full of wisdom, and I just wanted to share them with you. And we're going to get into some topics that I think you all will enjoy. So I'm going to have each of them introduce themselves. If you go to my page, you'll see a full profile on each of my guests tonight. So I'm going to start off with, and they don't know who I'm calling up first. I'm going to start off with Shonda. Shonda, get ready. Hi, Shonda.
Hello.
Hello, Shonda. Why don't you tell my guests a little bit about yourself?
Okay, I get to teach young girls self love, self empowerment, and body protection practices so that they can transition through life well, overcoming whatever challenges they may face, and reach their highest potential.
Thank you, Shonda.
Mhm.
Next up, I'm going to bring up Melissa. Hey, Melissa.
Hi, good evening. I am Melissa Lawson. I am a school counselor. I am also the athletic director at my school, as well as a sports chair for the sport of competitive spirit. And I enjoy working with young people, particularly high school students, because I feel like they're just like the forgotten age.
Yeah. Thank you, Melissa, for introducing yourself. Next up, Cedric. I'm going to bring you up.
Great day, great day.
Hey, Cedric, tell the folks about yourself.
Well, my name is Cedric Holloway. I'm a retired law enforcement officer of 33 years. I was the SWAT commander and the commander of the gun violence unit. Also the director of the Omega Mentoring Program, which has been in effect since 1999. Also a founding member of the Buffalo Creek Academy Charter School. Also engaged in the community. I've got a community center on Jefferson Avenue here in Buffalo, which is incidentally 2 blocks away from the Tops shooting massacre that occurred earlier this year. So I'm here and I'm glad to be a part of this.
Thank you. Thank you, Cedric. Next up, I have Miss Sheba Brown. Hey, Sheba.
Hey there, everyone. How you doing tonight? My name is Sheba Brown. I am co-founder of A Plus Test Prep, where we help students turn their scores into scholarships. Our youngest learner has been third grade. Our oldest learner is 71. Whether you're looking for a scholarship to college, career advancement, certification, an additional credential, A Plus Test Prep pass your test.
Thank you, Sheba. And I have next Miss Delise Jones. Hey, Delise.
Hey there. Hello, and thank you for welcoming me tonight. My name is Delise Jones. I'm a principal with the New York City Department of Education. I have been a principal for the past 19 years. I've been an educator for 33 years. I'm hoping to retire in June. That is the goal. But I am a middle school leader, committed to my community, been at the same school since I graduated from undergrad. I've been a teacher, a dean, a chorus teacher, a step teacher, an AP, and currently the principal. So thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you. And next up, I have Mr. Keith Shannon. Hey, Keith.
Good evening to all. Thank you, Michelle, for having myself, and greetings to the panelists. I am Keith Shannon. I run an organization called Preparing America's Tomorrow Today, and have taken students on college tours since 1992, missed 1 year, and that was 2020 due to the pandemic. I'm a former United States Army Airborne infantryman and spent my last 7 years in the Army as a recruiter. So spent a lot of time in and out of colleges and communities, and have served the community helping students transition from middle school to high school to college, and college to the world of work.
Yep. And Keith, he's been a mentor to me. Been on those college tours with him, overnight trips, sleeping all kind of hours. But it's been you've been a great mentor to me, Keith, and I appreciate you being on. Last but not least, I have Felisa Kelly. Hey, Felisa.
Hi, I am glad to be here. I am Felisa Kelly, and I am an educator. I teach high school math. This is my 23rd year teaching, and I am also the chair of Delta Gems, which is a mentoring program for high school girls, and I have been working with them for over 5 years. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And what I'm going to do, I think I got everybody. Let me just make sure I got everybody on. Yes. Do I have everybody? Yes. Okay. Whew. So tonight, you guys, I have a bunch of questions I'm going to ask my guests. We're going to hit on a lot of different topics. And the first question I have for you all is, what are the issues and problems do you see facing our youth today? And we'll start with those of you engaged with middle school students. So who wants to go first?
Well, I have middle school. I'm a middle school principal.
Yes.
Self-image, self-worth are two of the top things that many of our students struggle with. The lack of confidence. They are more concerned. Can you hear me?
Yep. Okay.
Okay. Our students are more concerned with what their peers think of them, opposed to what do they think of themselves. Oftentimes, they don't have enough people in their lives that affirm them, that encourage them and push them forward. Could be because they don't know any better. They don't know how to do that, or they're doing the best that they possibly can. But because they don't know who they are looking to everyone else to help them identify who they think they should be. That comes from social media, that comes from pictures of women or men, and them thinking that that is what they idolize, that's what they should be. And so because they don't understand who they are and walk in their own authority, they are subject to peer pressure, they're making wrong decisions, and they're trying to be what they are not because they don't know who they are. So that is, to me, one of the biggest issues that I face with my middle school students.
Thank you, Delise.
Sure.
Shonda, how about you? Because you're working with middle school girls. What have you been seeing?
Well, Mr. Lee, you hit it right on the head. I mean, everything that I actually wrote a note to talk about, she hit it.
Mm-hmm.
My professional background, for over 18 years, I taught in the elementary school setting, licensed kindergarten through sixth grade, but focused primarily with fourth and fifth grade girls before they transitioned over to middle school. And we started to notice a lot of those same issues before middle school. And so for me, I have a proactive approach, but I also work with middle school girls and high school girls as well. And I notice a lot of the same, struggles and challenges, so to speak, with identity and low confidence and the things that she just mentioned. How it kind of plays out once they get a little older, high school, college, there's that not understanding who they are or what they want to do and what things they have to contribute to the world. And that's a lot of the things that I'm noticing as well.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention my involvement with youth is also in Delta. I work with a partner with Felice in terms of our gyms, but been involved in that for probably about the same amount of years. But I also ran a mentoring program for high school girls for 10 years. So a lot of what you're talking about, it's still, as you know, it's still going on today, but it was happening 10 years ago as well. So that hasn't changed, which for me means, okay, what is it that we need to be doing to help these young ladies and men be more confident and not fit in, but fit out. That's what we talked about in Judah Tribe. It's not about fitting in, it's about fitting out, standing on your own, right? Let's talk about the high schoolers. So those of you involved with high school, what are some of the issues and problems that you are seeing in the school today? I'll start with you, Melissa.
So, I've been a counselor for 20 years, and I honestly, ninth grade is the toughest time in high school because it's a transition year from middle school to high school, and a lot of it is just kind of figuring out, going from the well, who am I, and then sort of uh, using that identity that they kind of are developing and trying to fit in and find other people of like identity, and it's a lot. So ninth grade is really a tough year transition wise, which is why it's one of the highest dropout years for
Mm.
for young people. But then 10th grade, so I just want parents out there, if you have 10th graders, 10th grade is just an adolescent development year that is very much a struggle because it's that age gap of 15 and 16, that sort of sweet spot of, I'm really maturing, but it's like a awkward stage. In 10th grade, there is nothing that you do in 10th grade that transitions you into high school or transitions you out of high school. So it's kind of like a holding year. It really has no meaning to a lot of students in 10th grade because they're not going to college right away. They're not doing the PSAT. They're just kind of there. So ninth and 10th grade I see is where we have a lot of challenges academically, and then socially more so in 10th grade. That sort of it's just the adolescent maturity, because that 15-16 year old age is a little tough, but by the time they're seniors, it kind of they kind of start knowing where they're going. If they've been falling off in high school, and you'll start seeing that upward trajectory of, okay, now I have to make the transition out. But that's not when you pull back you need to actually you need to actually step in a little closer because they're going into adulthood at that point.
Thank you, Melissa. Cedric and Keith, what do you have to add there?
I think one of our issues is poor problem solving skills. These kids would rather fight than discuss. We've got one high
Mm,
school that's problematic with regards to the fighting and such. They're so impulsive that one thing that's wrong that someone else has said, they're throwing hands, and it's a shame. But it's so popular here in Buffalo, and I think someone else hit on it. Delise hit on it earlier. Uh, Poor self-image that often leads to promiscuity and unhealthy relationships. These girls and these guys are putting up with crap because someone accepts them physically or otherwise. So
mm,
I think these girls need to build up, like was mentioned, uh, fit out versus fit in,
mm-hmm.
and they need to find the value in themselves, and that's what we try to emphasize on with the mentoring program is that you're valuable as is, and
Right.
no one else can judge you and make you more or less valuable. It's up to
Yeah.
yourself.
Thanks,
I love
Cedric.
that.
Keith, go ahead, Keith.
Love that word, value and valuable, Cedric. So I'm bi-coastal in Los Angeles and Raleigh, Durham, and work with youth programs in both of those areas through organizations. Um, these cell phones are keeping students up at night. They're on their
Mm,
Instagram till midnight. If the parent, if the old values and traditional values are not there, we know that less people are eating around the dinner table at 7 o'clock at night for various reasons. But when these students are sent to bed or go to bed, they're still up all night, and so they can't perform the next day. They may be able to perform in the morning classes, or they may get a shock and able to perform in the afternoon classes. But if they spend half the night looking at Instagram, they cannot perform the next day. And so, also as they're living on their cell phones, their communication skills are dwindling.
mm,
Students don't read like some of us had to read when we came through school. They're reading in snippets. They're getting their news, in 10-second flashes. Um, so I see that as a portion of the challenge, and so I like to connect with parents and partner with parents and the school system to to put some of those old values back in. Um,
mm,
one of the things that has happened as of late over the last few years is colleges, students that are college bound, colleges have had a de-emphasis on volunteering and extracurricular activities. 10
mm.
years ago, that was something prime that could get you looked at it at college, but now colleges have a de-emphasis on that. So students are not forced to be in the church choir. They're not forced to stay in Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts to Gold Pin or Eagle Scout. So some of those freedoms and values that have led to the freedom, I think, are a challenge that we have to get our arms around.
Yeah.
Um,
And go ahead,
I was just going to
Melissa.
say, I wanted to piggyback on something Keith just said because it's very important. Students do not read anymore. And that is a challenge for me as a college going counselor that no one's reading. And so the more information you give students, they're not willing to read it because of social media and how condensed everything is. So that's one of the major reasons why, a lot of things are being missed. But colleges are now gearing their recruitment on social media and they're in TikTok and they're putting 10-second flashes to capture students because they're not going to read any of this information and they know it. And so the problem is the transition from high school to college because now you do have to read. They're not reading emails, they're not reading anything. And that is really kind of a very, tough thing to overcome for us as adults when we are dealing with young people because they want it quick, they want it fast, they don't want it the way that we are accustomed to delivering information.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, Michelle, one of the things that you had said was some of the things that you are seeing now are things that we've experienced years ago. And that is true, but it's exacerbated by social media. And
Yes.
so a lot of what we are aware of now, we weren't really exposed to when I was a kid in the 70s. You know, we were outside with the skates that were metal. Who had
Mm-hmm.
metal roller skates? Like, come on, right? Right. But we were outside and we were playing. And now that we had this pandemic where everyone was shut in, all kids did was live on their phones. Their phones were in their hand from morning to night. So they became addicted to their phones. Even the babies, what do? The first thing we do with the baby, and we're so excited that babies are so tech savvy and they can swipe up and they can swipe. But the first thing we do is put the device in front of them. We don't even provide them with the opportunity to let's manipulate, let's do something, let's do a puzzle, let's put this red piece in the red triangle. Ooh, it's red and it's a triangle. We give them a cell phone. So you'll see a baby that's a year old screaming for a cell phone. So we're perpetuating the very thing that we don't want. We don't want, well, so we want our kids to be exposed, obviously, to the world, but we don't want them to live with the phone in their hand as if everything they need comes from this device. And they don't have to think on their own. They don't have to apply anything. They don't have any struggles because everything in social media seems like it's so easy, it's so beautiful, and it's so great.
I'm going
Yeah.
to chime in too. I agree with what they're saying about social media. I thought that was the biggest problem as well, which it can be a great tool. And I know, like Melissa said, that colleges are, posting about their universities on social media, which is great. And I think social media can be a great tool if the kids use it correctly. So, and the problem is they're not using it correctly. That's the problem that we have in the school with fights. They start from social media. So
Mm-hmm.
most of that stuff comes from social media, then it leaks into the school, then it becomes a fight. He said, she said, social media. And just
Right.
like you guys said about self-image, social media. It's all on social media. It's what they see on social media, which a lot of times is lies, as we know. People post stuff and they want to look like this person or be like this person, which is not true, that they really don't look like that or their body is really not like that. But when you're young, you don't understand that. You just see what you see and you want to be what you see, which is not necessarily a good thing. And kids are doing that and they're hurting themselves and they want to do other things because they want to see what they see on social media. And social media, like I said, can be good, but the kids have to be taught how to use it correctly. Because if they're not, they're going to use it all the time. And we see it in school. They use it for schoolwork, which is cheating.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't see that. They just, oh, I got the answer. But it is not a way of using social media correctly. So
Right.
it is,
And we're
social media is a big issue.
it is, and you guys, I hate to say it, it ain't going anywhere. So who is educating our students, our youth, about the proper use? And I know for at least the sororities and fraternities, I know it's a topic for Lisa that we have talked about with our Delta Gems, but where's this education coming from in terms of the use of social media? And how should parents get involved? So I'll throw that out. Sheba, did you have anything to add? Because I know you see a variety of students too, all ages as well. So what are you seeing? How's it showing up in your space?
It all ties into parenting. That's
Mm-hmm.
the ultimate thing. Parents are having kids' cell phones. Parents are, I know situations where parents have shown up to fight at school along with their children.
Oh, geez.
Right. Um, it's parents don't want children to have what we call productive struggles. I think a couple of us have talked about students having difficulty transitioning to college. Well, if our parents have solved all of our problems, if the minute we have difficulty in a course or a class at school, the parent comes to the school and says, well, I'm going to talk to the teacher, or I'm going to find out why the teacher is giving you a D or an F, rather than asking the student, well, where are your struggles? How can I help? Have you asked the teacher for extra help? Did you get any feedback on this quiz? That kind of thing. It all comes down to parenting. We want to be our children's friend. And I think in many cases, and this is perpetuated again by media, if I'm not saying yes as the parent, that makes me an enemy. The students are angry. They take that as I don't love them. Um, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. You know, I think that a lot of parents are trying to show love by buying the phone, uh,
Mm,
buying the gear, um, and that's a struggle. That our
mm-hmm.
children look good, and like I said, they're masters of making it look good for the camera, but what's underneath, and that's important. That's
I want to
important.
chime into what she said. I find
Go
in
ahead,
high
Felisa.
school, a lot of the students, because parents say, "Oh, I'm gonna take your phone because I'm paying for the bill." Then they say, "Well, I'll pay my own bill. I have a job, so I'll buy my own phone and pay for my own bill. That way, you can't take advantage of it." So I find that a lot in high school, a lot of the high school students that work, they want to pay for their own cell phone bill, so the parents they feel like the parents still have no say in what they're
Mm-hmm.
doing. But I totally agree with parent involvement. I feel like parents have access to so much more, but they know so much less now. And I know
Mm,
that we're all busy. We were busy back then too, but your parent knew exactly what was going on. We didn't have access to email. We didn't have access to text. We didn't have access to grades online. And your parents knew exactly what was going on. Now they have access. They can see the grades every time one goes in there. They have access. They can see what's going on in school, but they are clueless as to what's going on. It's because you choose not to know, not because you don't want to know. It's not important to you, because if it's important to you, then you'll make it part of your daily routine or weekly routine. And just like
mm-hmm.
you said about parents want to come at the teacher, I feel like in high school, students need to advocate for themselves until there's a problem with the teacher. That's when the parent needs to step in. But like you said, parents want to step in and they want to jump on the teacher because, oh, what did you do? My child's getting deep. No, ask your child, what are you doing in that class every day? What did you learn new today in your class every day? Even though they're in high school, you still need to ask those provoking questions to get feedback from your child to see what's going on. You still have to be a parent.
Yeah.
But I can say that parents are telling us it is information overload since COVID. So
Mm,
they're essentially telling, like, because the school I work at is a college prep high school where we use technology for everything. So during COVID, we continued to teach in exactly the same way with the same technology. And it didn't really stop anything. We were just home, but we still communicate the same way, send all the same emails. And so at this point, because everybody was communicating that way during COVID, parents stopped wanting to read emails. They were like, this is too much. It's information overload. So they just got lost in it. And so a lot of the communication, a lot of things that we want to communicate to parents, they just don't want to read it. Or then they want to send us emails asking why we didn't do something, but we already sent it. You just didn't read it.
right.
So
Yeah.
that's really the problem. We have to figure out that balance, because if you're getting 800 emails from everybody, the chances of that email from that school falling through the cracks, and I'm guilty. I mean, I'm a parent. I have 3 kids, schools sending me 3 emails, and I'm sending emails myself. So it's hard, and sometimes I might miss it, but they have to remind me. But I agree with Felice. I am that I'm that weird parent that has set up all kinds of notifications on my kids' grades. Anytime a grade goes in, I know. So I am never blindsided by grades or anything like that. I'm pulling them to the side, like, what's up with this grade? Every,
Yeah.
every single day, it gives me a grade report.
Yeah.
Michelle,
And I
I'd
want
like
to
to
go
offer
back
a
to,
different perspective,
okay.
if I may.
Yeah. Go ahead, Cedric.
So a different perspective on parents. So I've got an after-school program, and it is absolutely forbidden to come in smelling like anything other than fresh air. And one child came in smelling like weed. And I said, listen, you know this is against the rules. We don't do this. We don't get down like this. He says, no, Mr. Cedric, it's not. It wasn't me. It was my dad. He was smoking weed when he was dropping me off at school.
Mm,
So my battle is twofold, because now I'm trying to tell him about the good stuff to do and what not to do. And his parents are working against the grain, which is difficult because he spends more time with the child, with the parent, than he does with me.
right.
I
And
want to
we
go
do
back
have
to what
younger parents now too,
Mhm.
right? So I wanna get to Delise, I want you to say what you're gonna say.
Yep.
And the other piece I wanna talk about is what what advice can you give to parents in terms of how they can be engaged? Because information overload since COVID is sky high, even in the workplace. I can't even keep up with all the emails that I get. So go
And
ahead,
so
Delise.
that's perfect, because I wanted to piggyback on what Felicia was saying about parents and the cell phones in high school. Well, I'm in a middle school, and so I do tell parents that you are the authority in your home, and you must be the leader, and you must be the example. And the phone that your child has is the phone that you pay for. So I don't have any kids that are paying their own cell phone bills. And if it is, they are an outlier, because I do have eighth graders that do DoorDash. You know, um, you couldn't believe it, but it is a
Wow.
reality in the Bronx that I have a kid that lost his wallet and he almost went crazy because his bank card was there that's tied to his DoorDash account, that he rides a bike and he delivers food and he makes money. Go figure. But that's the life that he lives. But that is not the norm. And so I'm always telling parents, your child can't have a friend that you don't know about. That book bag belongs to you. You should be looking in that book bag weekly. All those papers that are balled up together, you need to read what's in those papers, because kids write notes in their notebooks. They send notes to one another. You should know who your children's phone, their friends are. You should have the password to their phone. You should have the password to all of these accounts. There should be a timer on the phone. At a certain point in the day, you no longer have access to your cell phone. It cuts off. You only have a certain number of minutes or hours to be on social media during the day. And at a certain point, it cuts off. And at a certain point, it cuts on. And parents need to stop being afraid. We don't give birth to our friends, we give
Mm,
birth to our children.
mm.
So I can be friendly and we have a friendly relationship, but I will always be your mother. And the conversations that I have with my girlfriends, I'm not having with my children. So I didn't birth a friend.
Yeah.
And parents need to understand, you are not your child's friend. You're friendly. You'll have a good time. You have a good relationship. But you're not looking at your daughter talking about, that's my best friend. She my best friend. Not so. And if that is true, y'all are 30 years apart, 25 years apart. You need to reevaluate your understanding of a friendship, because that's not your friend. And so if we can help parents understand, you have a more significant role in your child's life than the role that you are stepping up to. You don't get to close the door when I'm talking to you. I'll take the door off the hinges. You won't have a door. Do you understand?
I
We've gotten
know.
past that. Kids are
Yes.
outside, and used to be, when we were children, you had to have a destination. You go to the destination and you come home. I check to see if you can be received. I have a relationship with the families. Now kids can say, "Oh, I had an argument with my mother and she won't let me home," and they let people's children spend the night.
Yeah.
I've had kids that have been missing and they've been spending the night at someone else's house for more than one night, consecutive nights, without ever communicating with the parent. That's because that parent is not in that child's life. That parent. How do you
Mhm.
not know where your child is? How's your child spending the night somewhere else? You don't have a number. You don't know names. You don't know where they live. You don't know anything about your child. So I always encourage parents, you have to be the first leader in your home and be involved in everything that your child is involved in. And if you are not, investigate. It's okay to put your CSI hat on and investigate. If you don't, you lose them.
Yeah. How
CSI, delete CSI. Situation, we had a intervention, person X, person Y. There were different cliques, Facebook, beef. One
mm,
person was in the picture with, but not involved with, dissing another clique. He came after in school. The father of both children in my building doing an intervention. Now, I used to work intelligence squad as well. I was a commander of that as well. So I did background research on these guys social media. Dad had the password to Facebook, but not Instagram 1 and Instagram 2.
Right.
And I asked this young kid, "Are you prodding these folks on? Are you doing anything that's going to cause these folks to come back after you?" "Oh no, I don't do anything." I had to take my phone, slid it to Dad. Said, "Dad, scroll through these pictures of your kid on Instagram with a different name, pulling up his waistband showing a gun, pulling up three fingers down for the other person's click." And Dad almost killed the kid in front of me, but he had no clue that this kid had these different accounts. And at least when you say you got to be a part of and have these passwords and such of the phones that the parents buy, that's important because there's a lot going on with these social medias, and it's often the cause of these beefs in these schools. That because you said something funky on social media, okay, wait till we get in school. Wait till we get in school. I'll see about it.
And I'll tell you guys, and I remember working with the high school girls, and I remember talking to a parent about social media because there was a problem going on. Parent took the phone, but guess what? The kid was going to the library and still getting on social media. So, I mean, the engagement and involvement, as Delise and Cedric and a couple others have said, you have to be engaged and you have to know what's happening. So talk a little bit about, because those of you who work in the school system, your PTSA meetings and things like that, how do you get parents engaged in those activities? What's the catch there? Go ahead.
I guess
Go ahead,
I can.
Melissa, and then Delise, I saw you laughing, so I'm gonna have you go up next. Go ahead, Melissa.
It's interesting because I work in an urban school district, so and where I work, it is hard to get parents engaged for a myriad of reasons. A lot of it is, I'm at work, I don't have time, like I just, there just is not, engagement here. But one of the things that I can say, that if you are genuinely interested in a partnership with parents, you have to show that interest. You have to open the door to the parents. You have to be parent friendly, because a lot of times schools don't want to be involved, really don't want parents involved. They say they do, but they don't, because they're the gatekeepers of the information. They're not sharing with the parents. They're not friendly to the parents. They'll create policies that exclude parents. Like I knew of an elementary school who told parents that they couldn't pick their kids up at a certain time because that was too close to dismissal. And so I'm like, how are you creating a policy that is keeping a parent from picking up that is their child? Like you can't tell a parent you can't get your kid because it's interfering with my time. That doesn't work like that. So then when you want the parent to be engaged, the parent is like, well, you got all these rules where I can't come, but now you want me to come. Or the parent comes up with a bonnet on, and you've created a rule because you don't want a parent in a bonnet. But this parent is engaged. So what? They got a bonnet. Like, you cannot create barriers for parents, but then still want parents to be involved. So I think that is part of the challenge, because a lot of times schools are oppositional to parents, whether they choose to believe it or not. They're not necessarily parent friendly. And it is unfortunate that they think they are, but a lot of times if you're in an administrative capacity and you feel like you're the authority figure and you know more than the parent because I have the better interest. And sometimes if you look like you want to be a partner with the parent, you'll get them at your PTA meetings, your home and school meetings, or whatever it is, and you need to create events that actually engage them. And your first point of contact shouldn't be always the negative one, because that's also my pet peeve. Parents are not going to pick up the phone if the only time the school calls is if your kid is doing something. Maybe you should call them and say, hey, I just wanted to reach out and tell you that, Keisha had, turned in a great report card, a great report or some other thing, or did really well in the test. And, I'm just really proud of her, because then that'll encourage parents to want to engage as well. So you have to be mindful of what the parent's lens is and a lot of times people aren't parents, so they just are teachers, or they aren't parents, and they don't understand where, a parent lens. So they have to think from a parent lens to engage parents, I believe.
Yeah. What can a parent do? Because I geared this particular segment towards parents. How can we get parents more engaged? What should they be doing? How can they get more involved? And in a situation like that, Melissa, where they're up against that, what is an option for them to push forward in that kind of scenario?
So, so in my school, parents come in and they'll offer to volunteer, answer phone, with clearances, of course, but you want to give them things to participate, invite them into, go on field trips and stuff like that, just to, engage them in a way that they feel a part of the school community. And so, but if they feel oppositional, and that's one of the things that I think, if you feel oppositional, it is your duty to push back as a parent. Don't just take anything that's being told to you, unless it's, obviously, I'm not telling you to be, oppositional or defiant, but as a parent, if when my children were handed an assignment in school, for instance, that I completely disagreed with, I emailed the teacher and the principal, and I expressed my discontent with the assignment in a respectful manner. And it took them a month to get back to me about it. But then I followed up like, hey, listen, I'm just reaching back out because I don't feel that my concern was being heard. And how can we work together on this particular assignment, because this assignment is not culturally responsive. And
Mm-hmm.
eventually the principal responded, I understand where you're coming from. I get it. Like, we will definitely take a look at the assignment, and we will definitely look at it moving forward, future classes. Of course, they still offer the assignment because 3 years later, my other kid had to do it. And I was like, wait a minute.
Mm,
So you do have to, but you have to push back. And I'd say that to parents, like, and I don't mean it in a negative way, but you do have to question things. You have to question when something isn't right. Not come to your kid's defense, like, what other folks have said, because your kid needs to be a problem solver. You do need to talk to your kids first, I believe, and then get all the details, because a lot of times parents will jump out the plane before ever asking the kid, and then they'll think like the kid is correct, but that's not, you
mm-hmm.
don't have all the answers. So get all
Mm-hmm.
the answers, and then, but definitely don't just take no for an answer if you want to be involved.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you, Melissa. Delise, and then Shonda, I saw you seemed like you wanted to say something. So let's go to Delise and then Shonda.
Um, I think that when parents have an adversarial relationship or come in with a defiant attitude or disposition, is because they had a negative situation that they are still walking in, that left a sour taste in their mouth. First, we cannot talk over their heads. We cannot use our language that we use in our system to communicate with parents who are like, maybe I don't speak the language. I don't even understand what you're talking about. We also have to understand, especially if you are teaching in an urban school district. I have many of my kids live in the shelter. Some of them live in double ups, and some of them live in the shelter where you can't even have a guest. You can't even ride the elevator upstairs if you go to their building. You have to wait downstairs, and someone has to go up and they have to come back down. And so I have parents that work at the 99-cent store. They the mango cocoa cherry lady. They are working in Dunkin' Donuts. You can't demand for these people, and you better come right now. Listen, if I don't go to work, we don't eat.
Mm,
When I send my child to you, I'm sending my best gift. I'm sending my heart and soul to you. I'm not sending half of my child and keeping the other part for me and part for you. I'm sending my whole child. So I am expecting that you do right by my child. And if you are talking over my head, you only call me when there's a problem, you don't communicate with me in a way that makes sense to me, then I come in angry. You
mm,
know what I'm saying? I try to make my self accessible to my families. I have an open door policy. I may not be able to speak to you at this very moment, but I will speak to you. You can wait for me. You can come to my office. Every time we have an event at the school, I give away stuff because I'm dealing with a community that needs things. So I wanted parents to come in to talk about attendance. I gave everybody a laundry card. The laundry card was $46. People were popping in there like left and right. I wanted
Mm,
to meet with parents. I gave them turkeys. They showing up left and right because there are things that they need that they don't have access to. There are resources that they need. And sometimes the only way that they're going to get them is the school is the hub. And the school has the stuff. If I have to send somebody with you for my community team to walk you to welfare to try to get the right letter because you can't speak and you don't understand them, somebody will go with you.
mm,
Right. And so when we do stuff like that, then when I say I need you, you show up.
Mhm.
Because
yeah.
every time you needed me, I showed up for you. So
Mhm.
now every time I need you, what you need, Miss Jones? You want me to come right now? You want me to come next week? You want me to come at dismissal? You want me to stand on that corner to make sure that the kids don't go in a bodega? Whatever you need. It's a partnership, but they have to feel safe that they can trust you, that you are trustworthy, and that hopefully everybody on your team feels the same way. And if they don't, you put them in line so that those parents know you better check Miss So and so because Miss Smith is talking to my kid out of the side of her mouth. And I need you to address that. And I will. And I
Yeah.
will. And it won't happen again. And then you can get the parents in because they trust you.
Yeah. Y'all are definitely giving some lessons to some educators out there who might be struggling with students. Shonda and parents, struggling with parents, right? In terms of how do you attract parents and get parents to be more engaged. And one of the things that I'm hearing you say, and I definitely understand, you have working parents and different levels, right, in terms of what they can and cannot do. Um, Sean, I want to hear from you, and then um, Cedric and Felisa. I want you guys to just talk about the mentoring programs and what you guys are doing in that space. So go ahead, Shonda.
So I definitely agree with what both ladies have said so far, and Miss Melissa definitely hit the nail on the head when she talked about how can you be both ways. You know, you want to shut the parents out. A lot of it started with COVID, but then it continued in a whole other way. But then you want to beg for their support, and then it becomes counterproductive. For me, I have 5 children biologically, and I have 2 generations of kids. My older two, 24 and 21, then there's a 10-year gap. I started all over 13, 10, and 6. I know. But so I know what it's like to be the mom in this generation where we're getting overwhelmed with the emails. I've been there, overwhelmed with, you know, some of the communication. So I would say to the parents who will listen, who may feel like it's just hard to tune in and be a part of everything that's going on with the kids. They've got their folders, they've got the emails, they've got all that. If that's a challenge, at least tune into your child on a daily basis. One of the things that I have learned with having two generations of kids, and I get to kind of do over some things that I didn't do right the first time, is that all of our kids are different, and it's so important to tune into each one of them individually. So sometimes I will take just my son and we'll do something, or take just that middle girl who needs that extra attention and ask her, how's her day? What's going on at school? Tune in to their emotions, their tantrums, their body changes if they're not sleeping at night, you know, different things. Ask them what's going on in school, what's going on with their friends, how are you learning? How do you feel about that? And just at least know on an individual basis with each of your kids how they're doing. And I think that's one of the biggest ways that we can also, you know, be supportive to our own children if we can't be at every PTA meeting, if we can't be at every school field trip chaperoning and all of those things. Definitely just staying engaged with your child.
Thanks. I want to talk a little bit about the mentoring programs, and then I want to get with Sheba and Keith about college preparation, talk a little bit about that, and Melissa as well. So let's talk about the mentoring programs because there are programs out there, and y'all, the D9 has so many opportunities. Divine Nine, which is the Black fraternities and sororities, we have a lot of initiatives that are free that you can bring your students to, your children to get involved. And we have two represented here that are going to talk about it. Keith, I don't know if you can talk about what the alphas are doing, and Delise, if you talk about AKs, but it's beyond just mentoring. There's so many other things that we do and involved in the community with youth. So I'll start off with Felisa. Let's talk about Delta, and then Cedric, talk about the program Omega Psi Phi. And then if anybody else want to chime in with some of the things that your organizations are doing, let's talk about that as well. But Felisa, go ahead.
Okay. So we have 3 youth initiative programs that we offer. Delta Academy, which is catered to middle school girls. We have Delta Gyms, which is high school girls. And then we have Embody, which is middle school and high school boys. And we meet monthly. Each month, we have a topic that we talk about, and it's free to whomever. All they have to do is fill out an application. Parents can participate. They have to do a background screening if they want to participate. Most of the time, parents come and drop their student off, and it's a 2-hour session. At the end of the session, we give them a little snack to go home with. And we have guest speakers sometimes at the session. Sometimes we group all 3 of them together. Like next month, December, our session is going to be about mental health, which is a big, big topic that a lot of the students are dealing with coming back from COVID, and how to cope with mental health, because a lot of people don't realize it and they don't know that it's okay, that you're not okay. So that was one of the things. And as Michelle said, last month, we talked about self-image. We had an awesome session. And the unfortunate part, the young ladies that participate are the ones that really know their self-image. The ones that need the most help, we don't always get them in the program, but it's open to whomever. There's no requirement. There's no GPA. We don't look at grades. We don't go to the school. We don't get recommendations. It's open to whomever. You know, if you come in, if you fail all of your classes, you still can participate. There's no limit as to, hey, you know, I have to do this. I have offered it to my students, but the problem is getting the parents to buy in. We post on social media, like we mentioned about social media. Everybody's on social media. So we post about the program on social media. We have it on our website about the different programs. And we had an information session for the parents to come out just to tell them about the program before we actually started. But, and then we offer scholarships. We offer scholarships for students a part of the program, but we also offer scholarships to students that's not a part of the youth initiatives as well. So I think about a couple of years ago, we started offering scholarships to college students in the local area. But the problem is, you know, those do have requirements and the students don't know about it. And usually what we do with those, we push them out to the schools in the county, to the counselors, so they can pass it off to the students and kind of let them know what's going on with the different scholarships and all of that. So, and then my last thing before I get off, I want to piggyback real quick about parent involvement. I want parents to know that you have a voice. And as I think it was Melissa said, don't accept no. So a lot of times we accept everything somebody tell us. And I'm used to teaching honors classes, and I don't always see kids that look like me in those classes. And not that they're not capable of doing that, but the teacher said, oh, I can't do it. So the parents are not pushing for that, for their kids to be in these classes, and they very well can do that. And the kids that's in those classes are not necessarily honors, but mom and daddy said, oh, yeah, you're going to be in this honors class. So as a parent, realize that you have a voice and do not accept no. You can go further if somebody tell you no. If you talk loud enough, you can almost get what you want. And a lot of times the other parents know that, and that's what they do. And our parents don't advocate for their kids when they need to advocate for them.
Thank you, Felisa. And Cedric, talk about the Omega program. You're on mute, Cedric.
So we started the Omega Gents program in 1999. It was geared towards initially high school young men, but we found that the need for mentoring exists even prior to high school. These young kids in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade are absolutely in need. And we teach a myriad of things, from being a gentleman, which is what the name of the male aspect is, the Omega Gents. We teach chivalry. We teach how to tie your ties. We had a class on how to clean yourself, how to wipe your butt. I mean, a lot of the basic manhood, and we call it Manhood 101. A lot of the basic manhood stuff is missed with a lot of these young folks. And so in 2003, we also started the female portion of it with Michelle, your chapter sister, Dr. Chocolate Felder, and we started a female aspect as well for Omega Mentoring Program. And we expose them to so much. We've got associations and relationships with the theater, with sports programs. We've got a young man who's in the 10th grade. He's 6'2", wears a size 17 cleat. And because of our relationship with the Buffalo Bills, I'm able to call someone from the Bills and say, Chet, I need a size 17 cleat. And he'll drop off this large box of sneakers for this kid. And in return, he's a part of a program. And we mentioned it earlier, you have to have folks that care about you, teachers and such. So they realize in the program that these folks actually care about them. And disciplining folks by someone who doesn't care about you does not work.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's got to have that yin yang effect. So I really, really do care about you, but you're gonna catch the smoke because of the behavior that you exhibited in school, and we make them accountable. And that's what one of the kids said. You made me accountable for what we and what I've done. And what's wonderful is that once they graduate the program and start college, they still want to put into the program. So we've got these near peer mentors, which the kids talk to and share some of everything with. And they believe that this place is a safe place. And the kids need that, and they can be themselves because they're in school. And I'm going to tell you, I have to pull them off the walls once they get from school to my building because of their behavior and how they act in school. It's just sometimes it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I have to ground them, and they know they're in a safe place. And I
Yeah.
do so much and share so much, and come to the assistance of, because we also are their advocates. And there are a lot of things that we don't share with the parents because the kids trust us with their secrets, the things that they just can't tell their parents, can't discuss with their parents. We have Planned Parenthood in to talk about stuff. And one of the questions, and the moment I knew this was a great idea to have Planned Parenthood come in continually, was that one kid asked, can you get pregnant through anal sex? Kids don't know what they don't know. So I have so many speakers, and we're on Facebook as well, Omega Mentoring. You'll see some of our photos of the speakers and things of that nature. And what's different is that I do this because I love to do it. Since 1999, I haven't been paid a nickel for it, but the reward is having to travel to John Jay University to watch my kid who is in the programs from the hood walk across the stage with her master's degree.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, every sorority and fraternity, Black sororities and fraternities, have some kind of engagement with youth, y'all. And it
Yes.
is free. All you have to do is go online, look for a chapter, and we are across the nation and global. All you have to do is go to the website, go to the homepage and look for youth initiatives, right? And you will find the programs that are there. The only thing you need to do is get your child there. I know Kappas have the Kappa League. Keith, Alphas, what's the name of your
Alphas,
program?
we have go to high school, go to college is our mentoring program, and in some locations across the nation, it uh, serves even elementary students,
Mm-hmm.
all the way up through high school. I sit on spent 4 years on the national committee. Five of us on the national committee would go to high school, go to college, and that particularly is a education prep and tutoring organization that also teaches life skills, communication skills, cultural skills, as
Yeah.
Cedric mentioned with the Omegas. Tying ties. We lay out tools for the boys and the girls and
Mm-hmm.
teach them what a wrench is and teach them what a hammer does. Teach them how to change a tire.
Yeah.
Don't teach oil change anymore. We teach them how to go to Jiffy Lube and read the back of that book. But these like you say, the Black Greek letter organizations have some tremendous programs. I'm right now one of the five on the national committee for AFIA that does the Leadership Development Citizenship Institute every summer. So our annual month to month programs lead up to each of our seven regions having a leadership development institute. And
Mm-hmm.
so I wanted to mention, I'm sure most of the people on the line here and maybe some of our listeners have heard of Jeffrey Canada and the Harlem Children's Zone. I visited the Harlem Children's Zone twice. And like you, Shonda, I had one in SAT prep and one in potty training at the same time. And then we have one in between. So I've seen the generations, and I think what we need is a little bit of a paradigm shift. And I know that I've worked with students sending them to Sheba, and some of them have not even been prepared to go to Sheba in 11th grade because they haven't read enough, Melissa, going up to 11th grade. So they're not even ready to sit through a SAT or ACT or a prep course. And and so I think what we need is a paradigm shift. We need to start using some of the principles the Harlem Children's Zone has used. And what they do is they take students that are in elementary school and start pouring into them. And if those students hit all the marks, then they walk out with a college scholarship or a corporate partnership in 11th or 12th grade. So we all gear up in our communities. Jack and Jill. I'm in 100 Black Men. Um, I've done work in the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. We all are doing great work, but we're waiting to these students are or are not qualified in 10th, 11th grade, trying to push them to somebody like Sheba to do test prep to get their scores up. And she does a fantastic job.
She sure
Um,
does.
and but we need to start giving some scholarships. And I would pose this. In fact, I'm going to do it. I thought about it while we are talking tonight. I'm going to give $1,000 scholarship to a second or third grader, and then have that scholarship grow to 10th or 11th grade. And it's theirs to lose if they come home with bad grades in 8th grade or something like that. I'll take it and give it to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we need to start making the corporate connections in advance. We have students that love science that are 11 years old. Let's connect them with a couple of these biomedical organizations and let them grow that relationship. Let's do these connections in advance like the Harlem Children's Zone does, and we'll be able to you know sort of connect with our parents and shift that paradigm so that we don't have the parents rushing to us at the school saying my kid's the greatest when he's failed the last two tests and hadn't turned in the grade, turned in the papers. So, but yeah, these programs that are out here, I think we need to continue to to tie them together, and that's what I've done is connect with these programs to put students on the college tours, notwithstanding the churches. So I get with pastors, I get with Jack and Jill, I get Omega Mentoring Program, the Kappa League, the SG Rowers, and that's how I fill up my college tour buses.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And on my college tour bus, they put that phone down when I tell them
Oh yeah, they don't play. Keith doesn't play with his college tours. The drill sergeant in him definitely comes up. I've been on plenty of those, and I had to stand to attention sometimes
to.
myself as an adult. So yeah, Keith
And
doesn't
and
play.
I tell them, you know, you may not have the same standard at home, but Cedric, on our college tour, not a lady does not touch her bags, and a lady doesn't touch a door, you know, for a full week. Now, you know, hopefully it's ingrained in the young men to keep that going. Um, you know, when they get back home. But you know, we do have a lot of in our community. We have a lot of students that are raised by single parents and a lot of times single mothers and uh, you know, God forbid that a student leaves my college tour after a week that's 14 years old to ever have his mom tell him to take the trash out again.
Yeah. Sheba and Melissa, I want to get to college prep because I know that's also a place where um our kids sometimes fall behind a little bit. So let's talk about that. Um and even just prepping for standard tests. So the least you might be able to say something about that too. So how do we get our students and parents better prepared for these standardized tests that are out there?
Reading,
Mm,
reading, period. Reading. You know, when parents come to
Reading
me,
on period.
yeah.
when parents come to me, as Keith said, in 11th and 12th grade, talking about a scholarship, preparation for that scholarship really started when mama was reading to her baby in the womb. It starts when that third grader comes home, and rather than seeing dad tapping on his phone, dad is sitting there reading a book or the newspaper, and that encourages that child to pick up a book or a newspaper as opposed to turning on the television or picking up the iPad. It's reading. It's straight reading. And when we talk about scholarships, you know, I tell everybody, reading, you can read your way into a scholarship. And what you want to think about is using your academic skills in a transformational way. You know, at A plus, one of our most successful students. You don't have to have this many, but I have a young sister that got into 45 different colleges, and she got a scholarship from every single one of those universities. Every single one. Every single one. And so I'm not talking about $1,000 here, 500 here, 5,000 here. When that scholarship is gone, that scholarship is gone. A transformational scholarship. When Coca-Cola says, here is $50,000 for your education. Let's make it work. That's a transformational gift because now that student can turn around and help lift that family out of a perhaps what may have been a difficult situation.
Yeah.
It's really all about the reading and the academic preparation. It's not magic. Um, it's a process. We do a series called Parent Prep, or Parent Pep Talk. It's geared toward parents. Students can come, but it's about the parents. Even when we talk about getting ready for SAT or ACT, like I have a class coming up on Saturday, it's about test options. Hey, parents, what do you do in a test optional situation? Is there a situation where you should submit your scores? Is there a situation where you shouldn't? This is geared toward parents. Students are welcome to come, but this is about helping parents help their families. So when you give them access to information, and I get it, there's a lot of information overload, as Melissa talked about, but it's parents who are well informed can make some informed decisions for their students. And it has to be a family approach. It has to be, but it is about reading and academic preparation. I have seen eighth graders who are readers run circle around seniors. You know, I
Mm,
work with a lot of middle school students, and parents will ask, you know, do you have a separate class or course for middle schoolers versus high schoolers? No, sir, no, ma'am, we don't. Because what I find is that when a seventh or an eighth grader walks into A plus, a lot of times they are armed with some skills, so they run circles around the upper class. You
mhm.
know, and the juniors and the seniors are sitting there saying, hey, what's that? That student must be way smarter than me. No, but you might notice that when that student comes to class, they might check their phone, or they might slide it back in the book bag, and they might open up a magazine, a book they're reading on their own. They're reading something. You're sitting here playing Candy Crush and checking the gram.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes all the difference in the world. You know, it
Mm.
makes all the difference in the world. We are all educators in this room, but the first educators are the parents. And I know you said, "Oh, times are different." No, yeah, times are different. But parents, think about 2 generations back. Who on this call right now, raise your hand if your grandparents and great grandparents had more resources than you have right now. Right, right. So it's not about access to the bank account. It's not about what you're wearing. This is about, I remember my grandmother sitting me down at the table and making me work out my times tables. She didn't have an iPad. We didn't look at a video on television. We can be our children's first teachers. We are our children's first teachers, but we have to help and empower parents to do that. And so our parent prep series is all about that.
Yeah.
It's all about that.
Yeah. And is that virtual, Sheba? Is that something that anybody can attend?
Anybody can attend. They used to be virtual, now they're face to face. But we do a lot of partnerships. Like we're going to St. Joseph's Church in 2 weeks. We're going to the church rather than asking the parents to come to us. The Ministry of Education has asked us to come to the church, and we're going to do a class for parents on one side and a class for students on the end. And what we're going to talk about is here are some things when you get back in the car with grandma or mama or daddy or auntie, whoever brought you here today. These are the things that we want you all to talk about. So moving forward, we have a plan. Here is what I'm going to do as a student. Here is what mom and dad or grandma or grandpa or uncle need to do to help me help myself. It's all about engendering a conversation. It's just not talking to the students and it's just not talking to the parents. The last thing, kind of looking further down the road, April 22nd, we are bringing back our what we call our kickoff to opportunity. It's a career fair, a college fair, a STEM expo. This is about learners from elementary all the way up until hey, there may be people who want to transition jobs, change a career post COVID. Maybe we want to get in some additional training. There's going to be careers without college. There'll be, oh my gosh, community resource fair. So, as a matter of fact, Keith has participated before. If you have an organization that helps families in some way, um, it is free for everybody to attend. So we want families to come and say, "Hey, I'm looking for a counselor to help my child figure out X, Y, and Z." Oh, go over to table 45. Oh, I'm looking for a tutor for my child. Hey, go over to table 26. My child is interested in welding or perhaps a career in STEM. Oh, go over to table 58. We want this to be a whole wraparound approach. It's called Kickoff to Opportunities. And that's going to be April 27th, right? 22nd, right here in the Bull City at the Chesterfield building. And we're
Okay.
really excited because we're bringing that back. This will be our 9th year after a 3-year hiatus. So we're really excited about that. It is entirely free for the entire community.
Good. And I know there's opportunities in different cities as well. Again, sororities, fraternities are out there doing a lot of this stuff, you guys. You need to get connected and check out our pages for this information. Melissa.
Yeah. So I just wanted to piggyback off of something somebody else said before I go into my spiel. One youth organization is often overlooked that a lot of us are a part of, and is the YMCA. They have, I mean, they're rooted in everybody's community, but they have an amazing youth initiative, the Y Achievers, and I mean they have a lot of global resources. And I guess this is a weird shameless plug because my husband is the CEO of the Y in Syracuse right now. So, but I definitely see the work that they do, and when he was here in Philly with the Y Achievers. But so a lot of the young people that were at my school actually participated in the Achievers program. So they do a lot of test prep, they do a lot of career exploration, and that's from like middle school to high school, and then they offer scholarships. So, you know, if you can't connect with one of our organizations, definitely connect with the YMCA because they're in pretty much everybody's community. Um, but one of the things that Sheba talked about was reading. Reading is super important. And as a college counselor, someone who, essentially his whole job is to connect students with college. It is very important. A lot of the students that I see that are the most successful at capturing scholarships, that are, the ones who are the go-getters, are the readers, right? Because they're the ones who are quick to, you know, gather information. They're curious, and they're not likely to be the ones that are like lollygaggers, because they're thinkers. So a lot of times, the readers are going to be the ones. So, definitely encourage your students to read more. One thing I need students and parents to understand is that if you're in high school, the college process doesn't start in 12th grade.
Yes.
And a lot of that's a very
Correct.
large misconception. Like, they just wake up in senior year and be like, I'm going to college. And unfortunately, they
That's too
hadn't thought
late. That's
they
too
hadn't thought
late.
about it. Yes, because your GPA starts to accrue in ninth grade. So when you apply to college, you're applying to college with the grades you've finished through 11th grade. So not your senior year. So you could be like, oh, I'm killing it my senior year. It's too late, because you didn't kill it in ninth grade, 10th grade, and you might have started killing it in 11th grade. So at this point, parents, you have to start understanding that college starts really in eighth grade, because my students, my personal children, they looked at me like I was crazy before they went into high school. The summer before high school, I'm like, so what are we thinking about doing? What are some things we're thinking about in college? Like, do you have any majors in mind? And they're looking at me like, majors? Like, why are you asking me this? It's the summer of eighth grade. Why? Because you're going to start selecting high school courses that need to align with this thought process. So if you want to go into a STEM major, you're going to need to take some extra, science and math classes. You're going to need to take, if they got an engineering track and that's something you're interested in, you need to consider that. So you need to be thinking about that before you get in high school, because if there's a chance for you to select courses that will align with your intended major, then that's when you start preparing for that. So people need to understand college really starts as soon as you get to high school. And test prep, that also starts. So there are so many things out there. If you're not going to a private test prep organization, Khan Academy is free. It connects to your Navient, it connects to your College Board account, and it gives you targeted questions for when you've taken the PSAT 8-9, because now you can take the PSAT every year, whereas it used to just be in 10th and 11th grade. But there's the PSAT 8-9, the PSAT 10, the regular PSAT. So you can always do test prep through Khan Academy and the College Board. So if you're going to be, someone who, if you've taken the PSAT and you're getting prepared your junior year to start taking the SAT, it is a good time then to start like doing those practice exams and doing those things with Khan Academy, because that will help booster your score even more. The more you become familiar, the more you see the test and the types of questions, the more it's less and less scary. And so by the time you are ready to take the SAT, you have to have testing stamina. That's the other thing. It's not just the fact that because a lot of students, think about the standardized testing that students take that's unrelated to college. If you've ever proctored one of these exams, these kids are falling asleep. You like tapping them on the shoulder, and a lot of these state exams are untimed, and you're like, hey, you got to wake up. And
Yeah.
just think of the SAT is a time, or the ACT, that is a timed exam. So they have to develop testing stamina. So practice, 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 and research when it comes to college. A lot of times the students will show up. My goal in my career has always been to connect students with the best fit college, not necessarily the boutique school that their parents want to go to, and the priciest school because it's cute. It's the Ivies. It's the best fit, because the best fit may not be your parent wants you to go to Harvard. That might not be the best fit for you. You want them to stay in school. You don't want to just say my kid went to Harvard for 5 minutes. You want them to graduate from Harvard. So it is super important to research college, and do not let the first time your student go to college be the college of their choice be the time you drop them off. Because
Yeah.
that is horrible, because they will get to that rural location in the middle of nowhere and be like, what is this? I don't want to be here. So you have to do a lot of research. There are virtual tours now that you can do. Almost every school has those things. And again, because now social media is so big, if you follow the school social media page, you will almost feel like you go there.
Yeah.
Because everything you need is there. So that is my advice to parents and students. Start early, research often, and do not leave this $4 billion in untapped scholarship dollars on the floor, because you can get a scholarship for anything,
Yeah.
literally
Yeah.
anything. I just had a student, he's going, I think he's a senior now. He won the Hip Hop Sister scholarship that MC Light was handing out, because I sent out scholarship newsletters almost every day, and he happened to see this, and all he had to do was talk about how he loved hip hop and make a video, and his video was chosen, and he ended up on the BET Awards with a $50,000 check in his hand. So
Yes. It's money out there.
it's money out there. Do
Yeah.
not leave
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Important. When you mentioned start early, we get all our 7th and 8th graders, we do a college tour each year as well. Even our 7th and 8th graders, it's got to be a part of the norm. It's got to be something that they expect. This is what everyone does when they graduate high school, is go to college. And what I love is to give them that experience. I mentioned exposure earlier. Expose them to, like, we do HBCUs, because I went to an HBCU. I went to Howard. We had fried chicken Wednesdays, and we had the carnival in the yard. And when I was at HU, Nelson Mandela came to speak in the yard. You cannot replace that with anything in the world. And not only do we stress the importance of education, but the experience of HBCU, and which is why I love taking them and dropping them in the middle of the campus, and I always reach out to the bros, and everyone there looks like them. So they know that it's possible, because everyone here looks exactly like me.
Yeah.
And this is what we do. This
That
is
is
what we
super
do when we
important.
graduate high school.
That is very important, Cedric, because as someone who, again, I'm in the inner city, and I'm in the Philadelphia area. I work in Philadelphia. There are only 2 HBCUs in Pennsylvania. So my students have to go far to see an HBCU, not even that far, but I went to an HBCU. I went to North Carolina Central University. So ultimately, I am always plugging HBCUs everywhere I go, because I think it's important that they understand that that experience is never going to be duplicated. And even if they don't choose to attend, they should at least visit and at least get the feeling, because it's nothing like a feeling at an HBCU at all, hands down.
When I visited Howard, I went to a football game. It's just short and sweet. It blew me away when the Soul Squad played My Prerogative on field.
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey, I'm done. They're playing Bobby Brown on the field. I'm here. This is my spot."
Look, my thing is just let's get them to college, right? Because I
Indeed,
know we
indeed.
have a variety. I know Delisa and I went to, at least you go to UB or Buff State, but PWIs, right? It's out there. My thing is just get to school, get to college, but explore, because there's so many options that are out there for our kids. And I'm gonna wrap this up because I know it's late. I want to wrap this up. What is the advice that you would give to a parent or student? What is one thing you want them to take from this conversation tonight? Because it's a lot of information we got. One, I know there's a lot of resources out there. Matter of fact, Jackie Mills had mentioned Girls Inc. is also a great organization for test prep. Y'all, there's so many things. And what I'm going to do is below this post, I'm going to ask you guys to email me the different resources you are aware of. And I'm going to post it on my page, just so that people can go to one place to get this information. It takes a village. And I think I had all of you here in different capacities because I wanted people to know there are so many different things that are out there. Mentoring programs like the one that Shonda has for middle school kids, the sororities and fraternities, college tours, counselors. Melissa, we didn't even talk about how best to leverage a I don't even know if people even know how to best leverage their high school counselor, right? And I don't know if you have any resources out there to even talk about that. Um, and then Sheba, all the things that you're doing to help prepare our students as well, and at least the middle school. And what I'm hearing is getting these kids early, right? Getting them early. Um, and not being a friend. That's what I heard loud and clear, right? Time to be parents and not be a friend. But if there's one thing that you want to share that we haven't shared, what would that be in terms of last words for parents and or students? Go with you, Keith.
Um, so I can't put it into one, Michelle.
Okay.
I I would say connect with Thurgood Marshall College Fund. So
Mm.
many resources there. United Negro College Fund. I also work for an organization called HBCU Hub, which is an app that connects students directly to the admissions counselors. They can take a band interview. They can talk to the coaches outside of the NCAA. Um, so I would say those things, and just be relentless as a parent to connect. I've sat in those PTSA meetings and worked with the educators and worked with communities, even worked with parents that were in prison trying to help their student get to college or get to work. So I'd say come out your shell,
Mm-hmm.
parents, and empower your kids, and raise that level of expectation.
Thanks, Keith. Delise.
I would say to a child that you are beautifully and wonderfully made, and that what I tell my children all the time, that I don't teach you English, math, science, or social studies. I teach you how to make good choices, so that with those good choices, you know how to push forward and you know how to push past. And so I would just say to anyone's child and to anyone's child that is listening, that you are a keeper, you are worthy, you are powerful. Use your voice because your voice matters.
Thank you. Sheba.
Mm. Hashtag scores open doors. You want your GED? Pass the test. You got it. You want to own your own cosmetology salon? Pass the certifying exam. You got it. You want to be a welder? Pass the exam. You got it. You want to go to law school? Get a great killer score in the LSAT? You got it. You want a scholarship to college? Scores open doors to that. You want to transition? Hey, I'm working in retail. I want to transition, and I want to go into some kind of STEM degree. Scores open doors. We
I
can
like
do this
that. I like
together.
that.
Together, we can do this.
Yeah.
Together, we can. Scores open doors.
Thank you, Sheba. Cedric.
I say make sure they know that they are capable and they are worthy. A lot of, I was one of the first college folks in my family. A lot of my kids are first to go to college. Everyone's capable and everyone's worthy for college, and it's just not set aside for the rich. It's not set aside for the privileged. We are worthy as well to attend college, and we do it. One resource I would suggest is we attend the Alfred Street College Fair in DC every year. It's an HBCU thing, on site admissions, on site financial aid rewards, and someone mentioned band and such. There's on site auditions, and it's just a culmination of all the HBCUs in one big convention center. It's a shopping center of HBCUs, and
Yeah.
that would be a great source for folks to check out. I love that spot. And then we
Yeah.
go visit Mother Pearl, HU.
Yeah. So college tours, take advantage of that. And I think someone mentioned earlier, and I know this. I mean, you could do college tours at any time. Contact the school admissions; they will get you dates where you can come in. But if you're able to latch on to and attend a college tour, take advantage of that. There's so much that our kids in particular are not exposed to, And I know attending the ones that Keith and his wife have sponsored, I've even learned a lot about the process, even during my participation. Felisa, your last words?
Okay. Only I would like to say is um, for those students that that feel like college is not for you, that's okay. There are trades that you can do as well, or certificates. And parents, I ask that you get involved and know you're a child's counselor. Take advantage of opportunities at the community colleges that students can take classes for free. They can get certifications for free while still in high school. Take advantage of those opportunities. That's an eye opener to say, is this what I want to do? A 4-year university. Take advantage of those ideas. And don't feel like you are a failure because college is not your thing. It may not be your thing, but that is okay. You need to find your thing. That may be some type of trade, but you need to do some type of certification. Community college, it might be that thing, but that's okay as well. So that's my last words.
Thank you. Melissa and then Shonda.
So my last words really would be for the young people to be relentless in your pursuit of greatness. It whatever that is, whatever that looks like, if the door is not opening, climb through the window. Whatever you have to do to get there that is legal and is well within your reach, then you need to reach for it. Do not let no stop you, which means you have to learn how to advocate for yourself and you have to learn that you are worthy of these opportunities. And parents have to engage all of the processes and teach your students how to advocate so when they leave the nest they are able to fly without you and successfully without you. You cannot fight all their battles. You cannot show up to everything. You have to teach them how to overcome no. That is my biggest takeaway from for students and parents. You will have to learn how to overcome no because no will happen.
Thank you, Melissa. And then Shonda, last word.
I want to leave parents with what I've heard Cedric and Keith say earlier is starting early. So for me, it's a proactive approach. I love my middle school, high school girls. I focus predominantly on preparing them intrinsically before they transition. So between the ages of 10 and 14, fifth grade through eighth grade, they're transitioning to middle school, they're transitioning to high school, and the parents just to pour into them, invest in them, show them what their gifts and talents are, the things that they're great at, help them reveal what their identity is, and start early.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for participating. We definitely, I don't ask my guests for their answers to questions because I really want it to be authentic. And we definitely took some turns. I'm like, oh yeah, this is interesting, but this is where we need to be. So I'm glad and thankful for all of you for participating. I'm going to put you in the green room. If those of you have to log off, just go ahead. I will follow up with you later. But I appreciate each and every one of my guests. And like I said, this live stream is really meant for us to learn and grow together. A lot of information that has been shared tonight. I will be posting information underneath this video. Give me a day or two so I can get that information from my guests. But I appreciate all of you. Next month, I'm going to also focus on young people, and I'm going to be focusing on those who are early in their career. And I have some young people joining me who are going to talk about some of the lessons that they have learned, stepping into that space, their first jobs out of college, and how they have maneuvered in the work world over the course of, a couple of years. So stay tuned for more information on that. Have a great night, and we'll see you soon. All right. Thanks.
Bye.